out of all of this chaos, I'd probably say one of the next important things is that lat and the trapezius. So let's start with the trapezius, or well, I guess it's really starting with this back group and treating it as one back group, which is not really a bad idea, except for the trapezius does need to move down to the spine of the scapula. The lat needs to move down as well. But let's get this focused first on this upper contour. So there, that's kind of nice. Let's pull the lat a little bit, and it started to get in the way there, so I'm going to put a topological on there so I'm not messing up that lat. And I just want to move the body so that the wings of my lat are closer to the spine of my scapula. Okay, then I got to turn that topological mask off because otherwise things are going to go nutty. All right, there's a really important line that we need to be aware of, and it's almost something that we could treat as just a separate piece of geometry. And if you've had a kid, you've heard of this, the nuchal ligament. It's something that they actually measure nowadays. I think they measure it from the ultrasound, but they measure this as an indicator of whether or not your child has or has a risk of having Down syndrome or something else, Fragile X, something like that. So this is a really important ligament. Basically, we're moving from this fourth vertebrae along this really big axis and then into the back of the skull, the occiput. So we're moving kind of directly from that fourth vertebrae right there. Okay, or not necessarily directly, depending on what's happening. Whoops, my hand is moving in a totally inappropriate direction. Anyways, that nuchal ligament is what is deciding the shape of the neck, not the trapezius. No, the trapezius is coming from that nuchal ligament. It's part of it. Okay, but that ligament is very, very, very important. So that's why we're stretching out the trapezius to be the full length there. Not only the trapezius, but also all the rest of those muscles there. So let's straighten this out. Pull this in and down. How do I want to do that? I don't want to get bogged up in that detail. But what I want to do now is start to fold this stuff down. So can I fold it down by literally folding it down this way? It's possible, but you run into potential problems. Even if it's straight, you can run into that problem. Let's try it again though. Yeah, top is just at the wrong axes. You could say mask off, center line. Okay, blur that mask and then try it. That could have some success. Kind of intrigued by that. And I think that's enough. And let's go move topological, because we want to move these parts into one coherent whole. in with move, just futzing with that. And let's really stretch that out. Okay, and we'll get the body of this, yeah, up a little bit. Halfway, I'd say. And the rest of that becomes other musculature than the trapezius. But we're not terribly worried about all of that. Cool. Okay, now let's get the lat in, and the lat in this horse is coming in. Similar kind of arrangement, you know, as we have, but it's on the inside towards the front. And yeah, let's say we've got about that kind of range. Dog is slightly different. Cow is slightly different. Move topological. Okay, inflate to get that wider. Move topological. Pull it in so it's on the inside. Hide any muscles you don't want to see. Okay, you don't need those there. Put it on the inside. Up towards the top, and then I'm just going to smooth out that side of it. Give it some bulk. And then out. And let's turn double on because we're getting in trouble. That back face masking wasn't necessarily the best idea. So now I'm going to just inflate, and that should fix a good bit of it. And I'm going to smooth that out. Okay, so there you go. All right, that's one part of what we're setting up, and it's the lat, just like in a human, coming around to the inside, and just like a human, of course, the bulk is going to be towards the end of that. So, but we got a lot of stuff going on there. Not just that lat, so don't get carried away. And let's come in now and do these throat pieces. I'm going to rotate that. Is it at the sternum? Move it down. Okay, move it up. And just finding the rough direction and then scale it. Or if that gets a little weird, scale it this way. Okay, there's a lot more work to do for that. And then let's really pull up the neck. And get that going a little bit more. There we go. In that direction. I don't know what that hyoid bone is going to do. I'm just going to move it on the inside. Alright, so we've got some strappy stuff going on. Some crazy things happening there. And we've got the trapezius. Boom, boom, boom. Move topological. And I really want, let's see, kind of trying to get my drawing pin there. About halfway, 3/4. Let's say 3/4 of the way. We're going to have that trapezius coming down. So I need to fill this volume in. Okay, making it a little worse. Whoop. I'm hitting every key that ZBrush has to offer me right now. Okay, no more resculpting of it. Leave it at that. Of course, we're going to have to make the head less human for that to really start to make sense, right? But we're getting there. All right, so I'd say now we need to go into the limbs and the butt, and the pelvis, and start to make more sense of all of that. So we're 13 minutes in on this one, so I'm going to stop, and in the next one I'm just going to start jonesing through and cruising real quick.